Welcome everyone to Alcoholically Correct. I am JB. I'm joined today and always by
Zach, here to tell you what you're wrong about today.
Appreciate that. How you doing? How's the week gone?
It's been pretty good. I actually might finally have a job, so we'll see.
You mean other than co-host of the amazing brand new podcast Alcoholically Correct? Your main job, obviously.
Right. Yes, exactly.
So what's your new side project going to be outside of this?
It might be a job doing data for a risk management company. So we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
Did the interviews, seemed to go well. We'll see what's going on. But
I'm excited to see what that data looks like in 2020. I imagine the risk is quite high on anything you measure.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know that there's a low risk moment.
Right? Oh my goodness. So yeah, let's get going on the week. I'm excited to get into this week's topics, but of course we got to start with this week's drinks. What you sipping on over there, Zach?
So actually, I went really, really local. I went to Ivanhoe Park Brewing Company. So that's literally about 5 minutes from my house, if that.
Oh, okay.
It's the Toboggan Blonde Ale by Ivanhoe Park.
It sounds like my kind of beer. You know what type of beer I normally like. Is it my kind of, is
exactly.
it like a smooth,
it's
light?
Definitely a type of beer you'd like.
That's awesome. Speaking of which, I went literally light today. I did go back to the Kona family. Like we say, Kona, we're here. Whenever you're ready, we are. But I went with the new, it's new to me, the Kona Light Blonde Ale. So I like the golden ale a lot. I really like this blonde ale as well. It's really good. And then you shooting anything fun?
No, still not changing up my shots. It's the same thing, different day.
I am true to my word. So this week's shots will be JB, just like me, Jim Beam Fire. I'm a big fan of Jack Fire, so I wanted to see what the Jim Beam was like. I had never tried their brand, so I figured the initials were good. The drink might be.
Yeah, so you're just gonna go in. You have no idea what it's like, so that's gonna be fun.
That's true, yeah. So for our YouTube audience, my face, watch closely as we take shot one. Which actually, Zach, you want to take shot one and open up the first topic?
Sure, let's go ahead and do that.
All right, let's do
Cheers.
it. Salute.
So, there was some news today, right? About U.S. Postal Service.
Right. I was watching a little bit of Congress's takedown of our new Postmaster General and some of the moves he made. You're making a face at me, Zach.
Yes. Congress. You say Congress. Like,
right.
Congress is doing this together, and it's both sides, and they're working together to try to solve this problem. It's not Congress. It's the House.
Go ahead.
You know what the Senate is doing? The Senate is on vacation.
Well, true. Yeah. Congress was on vacation. They came back early for this, which kudos.
The House.
We're going to talk about. So I actually did a little bit of the research this week. I really, I knew the post office was important, and I knew it was massive, and I knew it was under attack, even though then the person who's, mostly helping it be under attack went and tweeted, "Save the post office," which was weird. Just wait till he finds out the attack's coming from the inside.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, so I grabbed a little research on the post office. I actually have a little bit of trivia for you. I think this is a very appropriate topic for us. Do you know where the first post office of the United States, of the colonies of this area as it, grew to what it became? Do you know where it was, what it was?
If I had to guess, I would make a guess for Philadelphia.
Interesting. No, it was actually in Massachusetts.
Okay.
And it was in a bar. It was Richard Fairbanks Tavern. And they, on November 6, 1639.
Excuse me,
they
what
decided
now?
1639.
Dang.
They decided that was the one and only official postal home for all letters to and from the other colonies and onto and from England as well. So it was where you got your mail. So it was literally Cheers before Cheers. It was the bar where everyone knew your name because all your mail went there. So yeah,
wow.
No. So that's where it started. The post office or postal service, I should say, was near and dear to my heart as well a little bit. because I did a really in-depth report in 5th grade on Benjamin Franklin, and he of course was our first Postmaster General. And yeah, no. So a couple of things I also wanted to see if you knew about the Postal Service, because obviously we know that it's operating at a loss. That's one of the big talks, out there, is that it's losing money, right? And let me, before I give you any information, what are your thoughts on that as far as, let's say it is, I think as of 2019, I looked that up too, 2019, it lost, about $8.8 billion. What are your thoughts on that based on what you know already about why it's losing money, how it's losing money, and the future of the service as well?
Yeah, so from my understanding, the reason that it's losing the majority of its money is purely due to basically the pension plan that they have to fund for their employees. And that's going to cover the majority of what they're losing money from. And then I believe that also a decent part of where they're losing some money is due to the Amazon deal. I could be wrong, but I believe that the Amazon deal that they have does actually hurt them a bit.
Yeah, I know that they work with Amazon, FedEx, all those. They actually, they do receive money to ship those, but I would assume they're probably doing it at some form of a discount. Although that's another interesting thing. Even in the year 2020, it only cost 55 cents to send a letter anywhere, from anywhere in the U.S. to anywhere in the U.S. 55 cents, pretty incredible. I remember Seinfeld years ago, though, made a joke where he's like, they keep going up. They're like, we got to go up another penny. And he's like, go ahead and round it up to $1. Buy yourself something nice. He's like, when's the last time I sent a letter? But no, so yeah, I'm sure that they might be losing some money there. But the big thing was that pension. They had to put away, I believe it's 10 years worth of pension money. It was some ungodly number of billions of dollars that no other department is expected to do in the government. There's no precedence for this. It's not something that, we just do that. They just arbitrarily decided a handful of years ago that they were gonna, in fact, as of, I think it was 2006, let me see, last gain that we made, the surplus was 2006, $900 million surplus 14 years ago. Before that, it was actually, go ahead.
I was going to say the pension plan was done. That pension plan rule was put in 2006, correct?
There you go. I believe it was. I know it was right around the same time that it had been making money. I think that's literally where it started losing money. And it went massive. It went in 06 from 900 million surplus to 07, a $5.1 billion loss. But it was making billions in surplus before that. And on top of that, there's a couple numbers that I don't think people know, especially anyone who is talking the what am I trying to say? The practical need to move on from the post office or the Postal Service, because there is that talk out there. Even though now, the goalposts will always move in these debates, right? Where it's like, no, nobody wants to attack the post office. In that thing today with the House of Representatives, I'll even be more specific, the Democratic side of the House of Representatives for the most part. I don't know. I don't want to, insult any kind of rogue Republicans.
And in February of this year, the House actually passed a bill, February of this year, to February 7th of this year, to remove the need for them to do the pension fund. That was the House passed it in February 7th of this year. It passed with, of course, basically all of the Democrats, but it also passed with 87 Republicans voting for it. 107 Republicans voted against.
You know what? And I want to be fair, especially after the first few episodes of this podcast where, I was surprised as anyone who knew me was, like, how much it sounded like I was, bathing in blue. But that was what I was saying, as far as, I don't want to say it's only the Democrats in the House today that we're going after and at least asking the hard questions. And I got to tell you, this Richard DeJoy guy, which is the new Postmaster General, he very much fits the Trump mold, as far as, like, it literally looks like a buddy of his from, up in New York City. And he, I love that his name is DeJoy. And in just the, short while that he's been in charge of the post office, he's been anything but. I thought that was a really fun, ironic name.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But one of the other things, too, is he actually got his start. He is a major Republican donor and a huge billionaire. He got his start in essentially competition with the Postal Service. As we mentioned with Amazon, even the competitors also work with them, which is, again, another great thing about the post office. I think that's what I wanted this topic to be, was just talking about how great the post office is and how important it is, and letting people know things they probably didn't know about it too.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, for example, the postal inspectors, the postal investigators, those guys are terrifying. You never mess with the post office. I don't know how much you know about them, but they are terrifying. They actually arrested Manafort. They were part of the Postal Service's investigators. They, the federal, like the Postal Service, I get whatever they're called, was actually part of the group that arrested Manafort today or yesterday, or whenever the heck it was.
Sure. Wait, Bannon?
Bannon, I'm sorry. Bannon, yes, Bannon. I'm sorry about that. Yes.
No, it's okay. I mean, there's so many from the administration or connected to it that get arrested at one point or another. It's easy to mix them up.
It's hard to keep track.
It really is. Couple other pieces, though, I think I kind of veered off topic, because what I wanted to say was, did you know that the Postal Service is current day, one of the largest veteran employers in America? It has over 97,000 vets that work for the Postal Service right now.
I did not know that. That's crazy.
That is crazy. It's huge. They also, here's another thing I didn't know about until I started looking into it. I'm kind of going from more interesting to more important, although I don't know. They're all kind of interesting and important in different ways to me. But there's a carrier alert program. Do you know about that?
No. Talk to me, Bernie.
Essentially what it is it is a program where they are also supposed to be looking out for the community. They had over 232 heroic employees that either helped someone who is in some kind of medical distress or something, or even literally saved lives. Like, our postal workers are out there saving lives. So when you hear this whole thing where people, and we'll get into police reform one way or the other another week, but when people were talking the whole defund the police or whatever the funds, reallocate funds and all that, and people are like, oh, you're going to defund the police? Who's going to save your life? Well, a postal worker might save your life. So how about we keep paying those people too? How about that? That'd be a great idea.
Yeah, I kind of like that one. Yeah.
Just a thought. Another really crazy thing. The USPS, United States Postal Service, delivers 48% of the world's mail. Globally, we are responsible for almost half of the entire world's postal delivery, essentially.
That's kind of crazy. I did not know that.
I know. I couldn't even believe it. But like I say, unless the research I did was bogus, but I did some research, so I did look into this some.
I'm so proud that you did research. I'm so proud that you have notes. It brings joy.
Let's be fair. I always do the research. I never take the notes. Notes is where I always fail, so I'm always kind of pulling at whips of research that I did, and I'm like, I kind of remember this. I actually took some notes because I love this Postal Service, man. I want to save the Postal Service.
I'm so happy though. Like this is just refreshing. You're teaching me things.
I appreciate that. Hey, there was the coin shortage. I taught you something there.
Yeah. Yep. No, the coin storage is still a thing though. Multiple places. So I had to go pick up some beer today. And when I picked it up, Total Wine was like, oh no, the coin shortage is still in effect. We don't do things. You need exact change still.
Oh wow. They don't do any kind of like loyalty program?
I don't know what they do. They just said exact change.
Well, remember that was what we talked about. There was that the grocery stores were doing that, and there was a thing where you didn't care about those people who were down to their last $10 that needed the 57 cents. But today you were those people, Zach. How did that feel? No.
I used my debit card.
Oh, fair enough. That's a good alternative.
Contactless.
Couple of things I still wanted to share with you, and I think the one's going to blow your mind, because I don't know if you know this. Maybe you do. Let me make sure there's nothing else more important to cover. No. So, Zach, I'd like you to make a guess for me. Listeners at home, on the road, wherever you're at, viewers on YouTube. How much tax money would you guess, just give me a guess, does the U.S. Postal Service receive? How many tax dollars? Just give me a number.
I'd go with 0. I don't think that they receive money from taxes.
Ah, damn you, Zach. Could you fake it for those at home that were all thinking like 500 billion, trillion and a half? It is 0 tax dollars. They make all of their revenue. They are fully self-sustaining. And the thing that's crazy about, I mean, they're at a deficit, obviously, so we have that issue. But I'm saying, like, they do not pull tax dollars. There is no tax payout to the USPS to keep it running. The crazy thing about that is that, like we said, that still includes the year 2020, where they have been essentially under attack on their budget. Imagine someone coming in and saying, hey, you got to go ahead and pay for the next, 50 years. Actually, I think I said 10. It's 50. 50 years of pensions for the employees you have and the estimated employees that you will hire between now and then. What?
Aren't they technically, now I could be wrong, but aren't they kind of a private thing? They're not actually part of the government per se? I thought that they were basically.
I believe they are. And they're actually, that was one of the other things, I didn't write down this note, but they are a bigger distribution facility, essentially, or whatever it is, than McDonald's, than like all of these places that you would think would easily be number one. The U.S. Postal Service is the number one in that category of distributing things, which does make sense when you think of how much they're bringing in and taking. That's all they do. So
yeah,
but no, that's crazy. It's just they're crazy. And the Postal Service is great
for a private company. So we've created a legal mandate for a private company that they have to. They're the only private company in the world that has to, but they have to fund their pension program. But they're a private institution.
Yep.
But we passed legislation that says this particular company gets screwed.
I'm also telling you, and I don't know where this ends, right? Like maybe it'll be a short-ish first topic but I'm also telling you that the guy right now in charge of running the Postal Service and the guy who is the president of the United States of America, and you know, it is what it is. Yeah, one of his favorite quotes, but he said it. If we don't do this budget thing that they want to do, because I'm sure just like any other industry, the Postal Service has been absolutely decimated by the coronavirus in its own ways, right? So if we don't do this thing, they don't get their voting by mail, which we have had since the 1860s. So this is not a new thing that the Democrats came up with to steal an election, no matter what anyone wants to tell you.
Aren't some states
has been around forever.
Don't some states basically like automatic have like allow for you to like haven't been like full voting? Like I thought Hawaii was one of them that was like, hey, we're just doing absentees by default or something.
Now,
wasn't there?
They've been making some changes due to the coronavirus recently. So certain states are trying to add basically flexibility on absentee and mail out ballots. But even pre-coronavirus, my understanding is that the majority, I think it was 30 out of 50 states in America, had a no reason necessary absentee ballot.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? It's essentially a mail-in ballot. The only thing you have to do is request it. And that's the thing too. Like I don't want to get into, I feel like every week we talk about our internet debates, and that's not what I want this show to be. But I do want to say this as far as I've seen more of the narrative kind of change to, well, you know, it's I lost that train of thought by trying not to get into an internet debate.
Fraud?
Ooh, what was that? Was
it?
Oh, fraud. Well, and I've been getting because now Trump got an absentee ballot. So I actually saw Trump's ad.
He's done absentee ballots for the last few years.
Sure, but I meant like right now, while he's been talking about the fraud of the mail-in system, he is now doing an absentee. And to his credit, or whatever you want to call it, he literally did an ad where he's like, hey, this is an absentee ballot. This isn't just a mail-in ballot. Like, but they're trying to change the narrative to be that the Democrats, and maybe I'm wrong. You could correct me maybe if you know this. And if not, audience, you could correct me in the comments too. But I am pretty sure I've not heard many prominent Democrats talk about just sending out mail-in ballots only, not allowing anyone to vote in the polls in November. Have you heard that? Is that something that's really been out there?
Nobody has ever said you are not going to the polls. They have changed it up so that some states were, I know for a fact that there were states that before COVID-19
30. No, I'm telling you,
no,
it's 30.
not that. But no, there are states that by default sign you up for mail-in voting.
That you would have to, you'd have to bring me. No, I don't know.
I think there's two states that did that, but those two states have not had voter fraud. So, I mean,
all right, I'm gonna mention one internet debate. I'm sorry, it's quick. But just because it was a quick debate too. It's somebody I always get into it with anyways. And they posted this thing where supposedly the primaries in New York, they found in this one, what do you call it? Like, I don't know, 40-something thousand attempts at voter fraud. And so I just wrote in the comments and I said, oh, so what you're telling me is they're catching the attempts at voter fraud. So we'll be ready to roll by November. No problem.
Exactly.
And they even admitted, he's like, oh, you've got jokes. And I'm like, no, I've got facts, but that's a different, conversation. We've gone over that for 3 weeks.
What are facts? So when we're talking about the post office, there was something else that I thought was kind of interesting. A lot of the post office funding actually comes from the selling of stamps and the pre-purchasing of stamps.
Ooh, I think I know what you're talking about. Maybe. If not, I'm going to make a point, but go ahead.
Oh, go for it. Make your point. Because
it was about buying postal stamps.
Yeah, no, mine was just I thought that's where they get almost the majority of their funding, and that's how they pre-fund stuff. Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, they sell some other products and stuff. No. It was just something I had seen that was saying if every adult American, if half. So if I think we're at like around 290 are adults, 250, 290 million,
somewhere in there, yeah.
No. 290 million, maybe. How many billion are we at total in the country? Estimate. I'm reaching the beer number 2 point, so the shot, what do you got?
I'm already on my second beer.
No, you're right. Only China has a billion.
I was like, we're nowhere near a billion. But
no, we're like 300 million. We have about a third of a billion. We're like 350, and I think it's 290 are adults. Okay, back with us. So I'm going to edit that out. It's just going to go right to me saying, I'm not really going to edit it. Don't worry.
I know. No, don't worry. We need to make you look silly.
That's right. I got to be wrong. I was the research guy so far, so I got to be wrong somewhere. So anyways.
It's okay. The other week I did research and I had Aaron Burr and Andrew Burr mixed up,
That's true. That did happen. So, the whole point of Alcoholically Correct is that we're going to be dumbasses sometimes, but we're drinking and you should be too, as long as it's safe for you to do so. But what I was going to say is let's go ahead and bring it down. Let's say there's 250 million American adults, 18 and older.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say half of those, so it'd be 125 million, bought, $10 worth of stamps? Yeah. That would be $1.25 billion to the Postal Service.
Yep, exactly.
So, if you are like me and you're concerned about, what's going on with the Postal Service and just making sure the money's there, then you might do that. The problem is, though, especially with the way it's being run right now, do we trust that money's going to go towards actually making the Postal Service better? Or is it going to be?
Actually, that's another one. So the pension fund. I don't know if you know this, but do you know where the money that gets put into the pension fund goes?
Ooh, no, I don't know that.
Okay, so part of that law is that the pension fund states that it has to be purchasing government bonds. So effectively, they get special government bonds. They only can purchase government bonds with their pension fund. So as we know, you don't do bonds for like growing stuff. You put it into a 401k with stocks and investment. Sure. No. They have to use government bonds. So whatever, every dollar that they spend, like that they save for the pension fund, immediately goes back to the government to pay down the debt.
Wow.
Basically.
Wow. I wish I had found that out, because that's another reason to actually save the post office and the USPS.
And so the pension fund, though, that they're doing, though, the problem is that, again, government bonds return rate is crap in comparison to the stock market.
Okay, so that's a great reason to change. Well, again, I agree with what the House tried to do. My whole life I called Congress. House was Congress and Senate was Senate. That's just always how I said it. I know it's technically incorrect, but especially now as an adult, it's alcoholically correct. But anyways.
Incorrect. So, it's alcoholically incorrect.
It's alcoholically correct, technically. Whatever. Okay, so before we take this any further, my point was that the U.S. House of Representatives plan to stop that pension fund thing so that it doesn't have to run at a deficit at all. It's a better idea, especially in the year 2020 when the debt just keeps exploding because they're just printing money like, it's, I don't even know, coloring sheets in a kindergarten.
Printers go burr.
Who?
Burr. B-R-R-R-R-R-R. Have you not seen those memes? Yeah,
no,
the money printers from the feds.
Oh. Powell, right? Isn't that Powell who keeps printing the money?
Yep.
Yeah. We'll talk about that too. We definitely got to do some stock talk and all that. We got some fun topics coming up, I think, in the future. Speaking of topics, I don't know. Do you have anything else that you wanted to cover? Post office wise?
Post office.
Definitely. Yeah, your face tells me that I almost cut it off way too soon. Go ahead.
Just one more thing. So DeJoy has been dismantling the high-speed postal sorting machines.
Yes.
And my favorite, his reason is they're not needed. But he also is not allowing the overtime that's required. So he's literally removing what would take 2 employees to run the sorting machine, takes 50 employees to do the actual sorting. Yeah. So it's mind-numbing. So
oh no, I'm gonna make it worse for you, Zach. Take a big chug while I tell you this, because the most important segment of the grilling today that he received. So everyone knows what day we recorded this, even though we release it 2 weeks later. But the grilling that he received from the House of Representatives is she was asking him the changes he was making that was sending trucks out before they were ready to go out, which is causing those mail delays that are happening across the United States of America. And I'm going to go ahead and tell this in this order, and I hope this is the order I wanted to. His department sent out note to 46 out of the 50 states in the month of August that there was no guarantee that mail-in ballots were going to hit the deadlines that they are expected to hit, that he could not guarantee that. Okay, so I'm telling you that. He then today was being asked about the delays that we're hearing on medication to seniors, medication to to Army, to people actively in the Army across the seas that we send out from the Postal Service that are now being delayed. And he said, I was actually trying to speed up the process. I was trying to get the trucks to go on time so that we could get things out. Clearly, it didn't add up to that. And she just kept, I wish I knew who it was. I know she's from Nevada, but she kept asking him, I would love to see the research you did on the impact this would have on delivery times to our seniors who are waiting on medicine, to our Army and our Navy and all that across the seas that are waiting on these medicines and these things, to people who are sending in bills to be paid that are now going to be hit with late fees because it normally takes 7 to 10 days and it's taking 14 to 20 days and more. And it's absurd to me that then on top of that, you tell me that the reason he said that he got rid of these sorting machines that he now has vowed not to get rid of anymore before the election. Fuck you, dude.
He's not gonna get rid of anymore, but he's not gonna put the machines that he took out back.
Exactly. So as I said, F you, dude. I won't curse twice because we try and keep it as clean as we can for the audience. But on top of doing that, he then says, I was trying to speed up the process because of how slow things process in this. Come on, guys. Really? Who can't see through this? Well, the same people that believe the QAnon shit in anyways. But anyways, sorry.
We don't talk about that.
No, I
we
can't
don't talk
even do a
about that.
topic on that, I don't think.
Nope. I don't want. I refuse. That is one I refuse.
I get it.
So actually, the other thing that I thought was really, really interesting about it is he owns stock in, I think it's
I can't
FedEx.
believe I didn't say that. Go ahead. Oh, I was saying that's where he got his start as a competitor. So yeah, please delve in more if you got more information.
I believe that he owns like 60 million in stock with FedEx or something ridiculous. Like
Yep.
it was
I thought
ridiculous.
he was up to about $100 million of money that was dependent on whether or not the Postal Service did well. Meaning, if it does bad, he does better because he is invested in a competitor. Anyways, go ahead.
No, but I mean, we drained the swamp. That's all I had for you. I just thought that those were.
It just.
There's nothing to say.
Like I say, whoever stuck with us long enough to hear us both praise the post office and admonish the current postmaster general and the administration that put him into place, please feel free to tell us where we're wrong factually somewhere in our comments, because we do enjoy, both Zach and I, engaging in these debates one way or the other. But none of what we said is false, right? That I know of. Feel free to call me out.
And if it's all whenever true, I get a chance.
Exactly. So I should say, feel free to call us out because we're fully in agreement on this one too. But also, if it's all true, then tell me how it's not just the biggest sack of crap you've ever seen our government do in modern times. Like, it's just, and like I say, and you have the guy whose polling numbers aren't doing well and just everything, who's talking about how it's going to affect the election. I mean, it's like we live in Russia. It's like when you watch something happen in Russia and you're like, how does Putin get away with that? There's more people than there is Putin. And yet it happens because there's enough people that actually buy the crap, and it's scary. But
well, no, in Putin, it's not so much that people buy the crap. It's so much that he just disappears people who don't buy the crap.
Yes, but I'm still telling you, we can get into this on another week, but that's one of the things I think we're missing, and that's what I feel like I'm seeing happen here. Maybe I'm being an alarmist, but is that I actually think the part that we miss about places like North Korea, which we're about to get into, Cuba, Russia, is how many of the people do buy the crap. And I think we shouldn't be confused by it anymore, because we've seen enough of our friends and family, like we've talked about in past weeks, just dive in to these conspiracy theories and all, and just claim, crap as fact. And so we shouldn't be shocked by it. But, we obviously are blind to it, that there's enough people that really do buy it, because if there weren't, eventually the populace matters more than the power.
I'm just saying though, but Putin's the candidate who was against him just ended up in the hospital from being poisoned.
I was gonna say no, it's too far gone. To your point, it's too far gone. I don't think we're too far gone in our country yet, but it is too far gone in places.
Talk to me in November.
I hope I can talk to you in November, Zach. That's a different conversation. Anyways, should we start moving on to this next topic? All right, Let me take a sip of beer before we take our shot.
Oh, do you need some beer before you take your shot? Is it a little rough?
I know you're trying to make me sound weak, but I drink beer to drink liquor. I don't think anyone's gonna think I'm too weak there.
When they see your face.
I was gonna say no. This is really good. So the thing with Jack Fire that I like is that, unlike Fireball, which of course was the first kind of iteration of this type of a shooter.
I mean, that's Goldschlager.
Say it again?
That's Goldschlager. Goldschlager was the first one, the cinnamon.
Oh, you know what? I've had Goldschlager. I didn't know it was first, I guess. Like, I haven't had it in so long either. I don't really know that are they very similar?
Yeah, it's a cinnamon. I believe it's a cinnamon whiskey. It's a cinnamon drink. It's a cinnamon liquor. So
not that these are at all chronological. Watch whatever you want. We're gonna have sips of the show to watch soon, so watch whatever kind of grabs your interest. But we're 4 episodes in? This is episode roughly 4. Okay, my point being, by episode 10, I'm gonna have to get myself some Goldschlager, because it really has been that long that I really can't tell you what that tastes like at all. But I know I've had it. I know that I've had it. I understand. Anyways, is it that bad? Should I not get it?
No, it's fine. It's just Goldschlager. I mean,
okay, fair enough. We don't want to insult anybody. We don't know who might sponsor us. Nobody's going to sponsor us. Anyways, okay. No. So my point being, I'll take this shot and then I'll tell you.
Cheers. So you've got a point to make.
Well, my point was Jim Beam, really smooth, really smooth.
Yep.
Just like Jack Fire, really smooth. Because the problem with Fireball is that it's so syrupy that plus the kick is like, your face is like, what's happening for a minute? Even though it tastes good in its own weird way. And like any alcohol to that point, the more you drink, the better they taste. So that's a whole nother conversation. Should we move on to topic 2 then?
Yes. So you're taking over this topic. So what are we talking about?
So I heard about this a few days ago. I did poke around on this. I didn't research deeply, but it was all disturbing. Have you heard about what's going on with North Korea and their dogs recently? As of July, I think it became another big thing.
Yeah, they're eating dogs. They're taking the dogs and they're eating them.
So there you go. Because to be fair, and it's not fair, but at least to be clear, North Korea has eaten dogs for years. One of the things I didn't really know about is that apparently North Korea considers in some ways dog meat to be its own delicatessen, which is really freaking gross.
They're not the only one that eats dogs. I don't see why that's that big of a deal.
All right, so I'm going to tell a personal story because I don't really have any way to corner you into a personal story here. So I know I said last week that I would. Growing up in North Carolina, my mom had asthma and lupus, so she had like once a month, she had 2 different doctor's appointments she had to do that were a good like hour plus away from our house. One of them was in this city in North Carolina, Cary, North Carolina. And part of the like benefit of going every month was that we would go to this really good restaurant, Chinese restaurant named Canton Buffet. That was, I mean, every month, once a month. Yeah. Because it was so far away. It was over an hour. We didn't go any other time, just about. Like, maybe once in a random blue moon. One time, we went to the doctor's appointment. Like, my siblings and I, we wait wherever, waiting room, car, whatever we were, while my mom and dad and all are, doing doctor's appointment stuff. We go to Canton Buffet for dinner. And the place is gone. Boarded up, closed up. Now, you have to understand, this place was huge. I mean, think about a Chinese buffet that is massive, like one of those that has like 12, 14 different bars of food and just like 150 tables, right? It looks like a wedding banquet every night, right? Yeah. And this place was packed with people. There was never a night you went and it looked like nobody was there. So it didn't make a lot of sense until my dad found out that the health department found out that they were serving, no lie, no joke. Now, I don't want to get sued by a restaurant that doesn't exist. I never looked into this. This is word of mouth. So allegedly, the reason they got boarded up was because the health department found out, as you can all guess, they were serving us cat and dog. That was really happening.
But you also say this was one of your favorite Chinese restaurants. So I'm just saying, maybe it's not as weird as you're making it out to be.
Okay, fair enough. So my point that I wanted to bring up with North Korea more than anything, especially as I looked into it, and I did find one other little fun anecdote about this, is do you know where some of the dogs have gone? Because this has actually been a thing. So the reason that North Korea officially is taking dogs from people in their capital city that own them as pets, which is the story, and I want our audience to be really confused because we went off on a whole nother tangent. But that's what's happening. They're going through and they are saying essentially that owning a pet dog is a sign of Western decadence, I believe was their word.
Okay.
And, Western meaning like United States, places like that, Western civilization. And so they were saying basically that that's just not acceptable. Now, to be fair, like I said, as I did a little bit of research on this, North Korea, it's not really fair, it's still gross, but they've had an attack on dogs off and on since the 80s. Kim Jong-un's father, Kim Jong-il, also hated dogs off and on and would take them from people and would, and that's my whole point. as gross as it is to me, the idea of eating dogs and cats, I understand that if you're a vegetarian, a vegan, you might feel like, hey, an animal's an animal. I don't know where you fall on that, Zach. What's your feelings overall on eating animals that aren't Americanized as versions of food?
I don't technically have a problem with it. I mean, each culture has different things. Now, I haven't eaten dog, and I don't plan on eating dog, but I don't really have an issue with those. I mean, there's a lot of things that Americans won't eat that we should. Like, there's nothing wrong with them. It's not a big deal, and so I don't know. I don't have an issue with that, but
yeah,
I do want to play some devil's advocate here.
Oh no! Eating dogs. So you're going to play devil's advocate to eating dogs. Yes. So that was actually one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up, because of crazy liberals like you that actually believe that people should be able to take dogs away from people. And
okay, that's not a liberal thing. Okay, no. That's not at all.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Is that not? Did I put words in your mouth? Isn't that the way that we're supposed to debate in 2020?
I think so. Yes. No. So I'm going to put on my my evil face real quick. So
okay, I'm gonna tell our podcast listeners, look for us on YouTube. Everyone owns a phone or something. I will if you can see Zach right now.
It's my evil goatee.
Evil goatee. All right.
Yes.
So please go ahead, devil's advocate. I'm really afraid of what you're about to say. I don't know if I want this.
So okay. So you're a communist nation, right? You rule with an iron fist. You get to do whatever you want to do. You suddenly are at a point where you've pissed off enough the world that you no longer get any sort of food stuff. You have a food shortage.
Yes,
people
like
have
North
dogs.
Korea does.
Yes. No. This is things. You have the option, like you're out of all the other options. Dogs are just a resource drain. They do not contribute to, like, they're not like cows where they actually contribute milk and contribute stuff. No, dogs just eat things. I'm not saying, like, I'm just saying if you're looking at this from a communist dictator standpoint, it could make sense to take the dogs and eat them. Then they become a food source. They become a net positive on your nation. I'm just saying it's not necessarily wrong.
No, it is wrong. It is wrong. And again, that's so here's the thing, Zach. I don't think that you would ever, no matter how starving you were, I don't think you would come after my dog. I could be wrong. I guess if you were starving enough, you might.
If I were starving, yeah, I'm sorry. Dude, look, like, you're hungry enough. People eat other people. You know, if you get to that point, I'm just saying a dog would probably be eaten before a person.
Are you familiar with the song Timothy?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
So for our audience at home, there's a song called Timothy that I heard as a child. It might explain why I'm so warped in so many ways. But this song called Timothy was about this group of people that got stuck in a mine crash. And they had a little bit of water, but not quite enough water for everybody. And they're like passing the water around. And literally the hook of the song, the chorus of the song is, Timothy, Timothy, where on earth did you go? Timothy, Timothy, why, oh God, why don't I know? Or something like that. God, why don't I know? Basically, the story of the song is that they ate Timothy. They got stuck in a well. They thought they were done for. They drank the water. I think he must have thirsted to death, and they ate that dude.
Well, I mean, it happened.
To your point, crazy things happen. But again, you come after my dog, just like North Korea, as it should be, although it's, it's sad. But you come after my dog, it's like you're coming after my family. It really is. Like, I'm not just going to let that go any more than I'm going to let go of any, family member.
Yeah,
I think it's wrong. And I'll tell you though, Zach, like, ideologically, as we do this show for a long time, I know you're playing devil's advocate, and I love the goatee. Like you say, guys, you got to check. I'll put a picture of this somehow on our Instagram. This has to happen. But I know you're playing devil's advocate, but I have to tell you that is the fear of the more conservative minded people, not myself. I'm reasonable enough to understand there is levels and there is times to fight, and you don't have to fight everything from the left to avoid people coming into your home, stealing your pet dogs and eating them. I understand we're not there.
No.
Excuse me. But I have to let you know, just like we talk about racism is a real mindset, that if you're not racist, it might be hard for you to understand that people can genuinely be racist and just actively hate someone for the color of their skin or whatever it is. There are genuinely people that believe as a government body that it is more important to do things the way we do them for whatever reason. This fits our ideology. So we're shutting out the world as much as we have to fit our ideology. And if that means that eventually, so sadly, I have to come steal your dog and eat it, well, that's what's got to happen, because your dog, as you just said, contributes nothing to society. Again, I think that's the fringe, and I don't believe you wouldn't have done this whole goatee get up, which I love.
Yes. I may or may not have stolen this from Community.
Fair, yeah. I figured Community fans would know that, but if you want to give them a full shout out, 6 seasons in a movie, my man.
Yes, 6 seasons in a movie. 6 seasons and a movie.
6 seasons in a movie. But yeah,
no, I mean,
but my point being that's the fear. That's what you have to quell when you're talking about things. You have to let people know that you're not going to devil's advocate that. And I have to let you know that if you are going to genuinely devil's advocate that to me, as politics, expand over our next however long we're blessed to live, that I'm going to push back on that, because I think it's bullshit. I think that dogs are family members. My dog. Well,
and again, I took off my evil goatee.
There you go.
Yeah,
so give us your genuine feelings.
Yeah, no, of course, no. Dogs are not food. No, you can't just take dogs. We don't live in a country where that's even allowed. That's not what we do in the country. We have. Right. We are not a communist state, and we will never be a communist state as long as we have a constitution.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, go ahead. It's just a disingenuous argument that we're going to become a communist nation, because we aren't. I mean, we're on the way to dictatorship at the moment, but that's that's a whole separate problem. The Constitution says that you own your stuff. People can't take your stuff. It's not like in a communist nation, you don't own anything. It's all owned by the community. Versus, we don't have that thing here. Yeah. And when you start to talk about quote unquote socialism, when we speak about socialism,
that's different.
But we don't actually have, ignoring the thing. So socialism, the technical definition is almost the same as communism. The
ideologies are similar. Right.
They're basically an umbrella term that they both cover the same thing. But what we consider socialism here in the United States is not socialism. It's social programs.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's like the idea of, everybody shares what they have to make the greater good, versus in communism, everybody owns, or nobody owns anything. Everything's owned by everyone, and you take what you need to make it work. Because it's not, it's that idea where, you share resources you have to greater good. Like, everybody pays a little bit in taxes to solve a problem.
But one thing I'm going to say is, I think there's a correlation to conservatives in this. And what I mean by that is, what people want. You have family, friends, loved ones, parents that are conservatives, and what they genuinely want for themselves.
I have to stop you for a quick second. Just hold your thought. Don't lose it. But you're assuming I have friends and family, like people that love me. I just would like to be clear. Like, I don't know that that's true. That is a big, you got a big leap right there, my friend.
That's a good point. Okay. So you've got me and whatever family you haven't chased off yet. And but my point was, that's the whole thing. Even with racism, right? Is that when you talk to the individual, the general individual wants, feelings. Every once in a while, you'll meet those people that genuinely make you go, what the frick are you talking about, right? But for the most part, it's not that they want something terrible. It's that what they think they want, they think they only get attaching themselves to someone that kind of takes their viewpoint further down the terrible line, right? Like same thing with I know we're going to do religion a different week, and we really got to like study up for that one. But what I was going to say is most Christians you meet, what they're afraid of. I know you're like drinking this drink or you're like, yeah, just keep digging, buddy.
No, keep talking. I'm listening. Keep talking.
Excuse me. I got choked up on that point. Okay. What they're afraid of is the idea that they're no longer going to be able to worship and blah, 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 blah. What that has been bastardized into is that if we don't mandate Christianity or whatever it is, then we are denying it. And that's not true. And that's what I'm getting at there.
Well, remember when where our nation was founded on the idea of you can have your own like religious beliefs, and that was kind of what it was,
right?
And
freedoms,
now,
religious freedoms.
50s, and then in the 50s, we decided that you know what? No. This is one nation under God. That's not separation of church and state. What just happened? Here?
We're getting far away from what he caught. I think
we were talking about eating dogs. We started with talking about eating dogs, and we ended up on religion. What happened here?
I can't imagine why I want to divert us away from eating dogs. I'm sure that would retain a lot of audience, so I can't imagine
Although
why
I have to say, do you think wiener dogs taste better? Or do you think poodles taste better? Or is it like the golden retriever or huskies are going to be the... I'm just curious, where do you think on the scale? I mean...
Those are good questions, but my question for you is, on a wiener dog or wiener hot dog, whatever, what have you, all I want to know is, do you use ketchup? Because it became a thing recently that ketchup and hot dogs don't go together. How do you feel?
It's not a thing that started recently. I mean, as a child, I definitely used ketchup. It depends on where you're from. That's what it comes down to. It depends on where you're from. So, like, Chicago, if you put ketchup on a hot dog, you're probably going to be shot.
Chicago has its own whole thing, though. I've been to a true Chicago, like, hot dog bar here in Florida with a friend who grew up his whole life in Chicago before moving to Florida. So, like, and he loved the place. And a hot dog that is Chicago version of a hot dog is a whole nother food. Just like if you have Chicago deep dish pizza. That's nothing like pizza. No, it's not pizza. Their own.
It's good. It's really good, but it's a casserole. It's basically a casserole. It's lasagna, a cheese casserole, and it's good.
Yeah,
but it's a cheese casserole.
No, I totally agree with you.
We've gone completely off topic. You didn't answer my question because you've actually eaten dog. So what type of dog is best?
They didn't tell me what type it was. It was just terrible.
Gotcha.
Well, no, it was great. It tasted amazing, I'm sad to say. But anyways, luckily I got to stop eating it. We didn't know it was dog, okay? It was horrible to find out, I swear. All right. Are we moving on to topic 3?
We're moving on to topic 3. Cheers.
Salute, last shot.
All right, so topic 3 was me. Last week, I informed you all about the wonders of streetlights.
Which took me about 10 minutes to realize you meant street lights, not traffic lights, if I remember. I think that was during the show I got confused, right?
Yes, very much so. There was a good moment there where you were like, wait, you're not talking about the red, green, and yellow things? The go things? Oh, no. So that's what we were... That's not what we were talking about. And so this week I decided to go ahead and help you out here. And now we're going to talk about traffic lights.
Yay! Okay. Wait, so those are those big, like, white or yellow things on the sides of the road that light up the sidewalk. Okay, sorry. No, traffic lights. Red light, green light, yellow light, go.
Yes. So yes, traffic lights. The reason I'm actually going to talk about is more red light cameras. They piss me off. Red light cameras make me angry.
Why? I can't imagine.
It's a crap thing that just basically tries to fund that. It's basically free money for the police for no reason.
But right. So, okay, wait. So I don't know how much you've looked into red light cameras. I know that was your topic. You did kind of like clue me in. But good. I want to know how they work, like the legality of them, everything. So please tell me. I don't know a lot.
So starting
I'm
off,
cracking open a beer.
yeah, okay, good, go for it. So starting off with a red light camera, you have the way that it works is when you cross into the intersection without stopping, it takes a photo of your license plate and your face, basically. It takes a photo of both sides. And what they do is they mail you a ticket. Now, this ticket, it is not going to be a ticket where you can't get points for it because there's not a person there. It's not an officer giving it to you. So
okay, that's something right there I didn't know. Really? So it doesn't put any points on your license?
At least here in Florida, yeah, you can't get points for the license because there is no officer signing them. It's private companies pretty much across the board. So these private companies are putting in streetlights and doing the thing. Now, that's the legality of it. Now, actually, even that legality of it has been questioned multiple times, and multiple places have made it illegal to have them. The claim is that red light cameras reduce the number of people who run the red light, and it also reduces accidents. That's the claim. The real thing is it's just a money grab from the police department there. So in terms of the claim that it reduces accidents, what it does is it actually, there's been multiple studies, and basically it does reduce side angle. So basically when you run into the side of someone's car, it reduces those accidents by about 25%. Sounds great, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Right. Except
that's 1 in 4. I want to make it 25% sounds nice. 1 in 4 sounds pretty good.
Yes.
Because you and I are 1 and 2, so you had 2 more people. We got 4. So one of those people wouldn't get a side, what do you call it, statistically.
Correct.
Over the course of a billion people.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, that's
300
not really
million people. There's not a billion people in America. We know
so
that.
It'd be 4 people. If 4 people were to get into an accident, one of those people would be reduced from getting into that accident. So one person would not. It would be those 4 people who got in an accident. One of the people would not, which is cool. Except those types of accidents only account for about 1/3 of all accidents at intersections. The other 2/3 of accidents are accidents like rear-ending, that type of stuff. And actually, because of the fact that when you have a red light camera, people are afraid to run the red light and stop on yellows and slam the brakes to not do that, it creates more rear-ending accidents.
Rear ends. Oh, no.
Yep. It increases the rear-ending accident rate by about 20%. So, like, overall, after you do the math, you're looking at like a 3 to 5% increase in accidents at that intersection.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's not all. It gets worse. So,
wait, before you tell me where it gets worse, I believe the scientific term for those extra rear end accidents fall under some form of a go, we can make it, fuck.
Well, so the person behind you is going that way, and then the person in front of you is like,
oh, behind you. I'm the person behind you saying, go, please go. Why won't you go? It just turned yellow.
Yes. So... And that's where it gets weird. So, yellow. So we're talking about yellow lights now. So the red light cameras, again, they do that. You know what they've done is, so I'm going to give you some quick things, guidance here in Florida. So in Florida, for example, if you're going 25 mile an hour and it's a 25 mile an hour road, your yellow light is supposed to be 3 seconds long. 1, 2, 3. Right? Just because that's how long it takes you to stop and respond.
That wasn't 3.
You know, you don't want to... Huh?
I said that wasn't 3. That was way too quick.
Yes. Right.
1, 2, 3.
You say it's way too quick, but that's how red light cameras work. They reduce the amount of time. But we're not going to go there quick because I just really want to get a few more. So there is actually a sliding scale. So 25 mile an hour, 3 seconds is how long the yellow light's supposed to last. At 45 mile an hour, it's supposed to be 4.3 seconds. 4.3 seconds. And then you have at like 60 mile an hour, you're at like 5.4 seconds is how long the yellow light is supposed to last to be able to let all the traffic through and make it not crazy. And you've seen it. I'm sure when driving, you're like, wow, that's a really short yellow light. Well,
yes.
The part of the reason that is especially at red light cameras, they reduce the yellow light timing. So Oldsmar, Florida. Yeah, it's completely screwed. So Old Mars, Florida. Yeah, no, it's so messed up. So in this town in Florida, they had a 45 mile per hour speed limit on this intersection, and the traffic light was 4.3 seconds on yellow. Well, they reduced it to 3 seconds. So the yellow light was 3 seconds. 3 seconds is if you're in a 25 mile per hour zone. So it's 45 miles per hour, and they reduced it as if it were a 25 mile per hour. So of course, there were crap tons of tickets.
Of course.
Just ridiculous amounts. So, there was a whole hubbubaloo. People fought it, and finally it was fixed and moved back to the 4.3 seconds. Once that happened, the number of red light tickets dropped by 90%.
But I'm not surprised. Because think about it. Think about how many lights you go through on a general drive of more than 5 miles. Just put 3 to 5 miles plus and think about how many lights you go through. Your body, whether you realize it or not, it's not active. You generally don't realize it unless you're really kind of psychoanalyzing yourself. Your body gets used to figuring out, okay, if I'm here, I can make it there. If I'm here, I can make it
and
there.
I know
when it
how long, and you instinctively know how long the yellow light should be.
So that's the thing. But can I tell you something, Zach? We'll get into this in future topics. So on one hand, that should be a thing, just like they did in this place where the tickets went up and then they dropped because they changed it. Right? Isn't that what you said? They did change it, and then they fought it?
They changed it. Tickets increased massively. Then they got basically, it got fought in court, and they had to change it back to the DOT specs of 4.3 seconds from 3 seconds.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, how effed up is that? Although I understand why it's effed up like that. Again, a future topic about federal kind of regulations versus state regulations and yada.
Well, that was
yada.
Florida Department of Transportation, so that is state regulations.
And they still weren't following state regulations in the town?
No. So actually, this is the cool part here is that they weren't doing that. So it's state. That's Florida Department of Transportation. Each state has their own rules. Each state has their own thing. But so they didn't do it. So the ticket rates dropped 90%. Now, the thing is, they didn't refund all the tickets that they had previously been screwed up. They didn't refund any of them. Now, in Dallas, Texas, that's a whole different one. The reason I bring this one up is they did refund. So they reduced the time on their, so that according to their Texas Department of Transportation, they were supposed to have between 3.5 and 4 seconds for the stoplights. They dropped it to 3.15 seconds. So it doesn't seem like much, half a second, but it's basically half of a second. Because they dropped it below the minimum, they actually had to refund 9,407 tickets worth over $700,000 because they screwed up the stoplights.
Wait. Okay. I know I'm going 2 personal stories in one full episode, although if one of these end up as a sip of the show, then you won't know what I'm talking about. But they had to refund tickets that were already paid?
Of course, because the tickets were basically illegal.
Don't effing of course me, because my wife, when we first started dating, had gone to a Magic game.
Mm-hmm.
And she got a jaywalking ticket. Funny enough, right? So, and I'll tell you how she got a jaywalking ticket. Her friend...
Was she jaywalking?
Oh, yes, but let me finish. You know, if you've ever been to an arena, definitely the Amway Arena in Orlando, but if you've ever been to an arena, right before and during a game, the process of people crossing streets is very different than what the lights say, right? You have cops on the corners and different stuff going on, and you have roads
you just do whatever
off.
you want.
Right. Crazy stuff happening. Okay. So my wife and her at the time roommate, good friend, not her friend anymore. Can you imagine why? Crossed a street that the light turned, and a cop started effing with her friend over it. Not her. She moved on. Her friend got crap. hey.
What were the skin
you just
colors?
crossed.
Was there a skin color difference?
I mean, my wife is Colombian, but very, well, I mean, I don't know. It just depends on how much sun she's gotten, how white.
Mhm.
She looks Colombian. She's 100% Colombian by birth. Grew up in America. Doesn't matter. But the friend who got stopped, so actually I'm gonna our conservative listeners are gonna love this. Her friend who got stopped, white. Crystal clear white. Whiter than you and me. White. So her friend got stopped and harassed a little bit about crossing the street during a stop sign, whatever. Okay. And I say harassed, I don't mean that as like screw the police. I'm just saying.
No, I get you.
He was giving her crap for it. Hey, that's against the law. That's jaywalking. I can give you a ticket for that. This dumb such and such said, hey, you can't just give me a ticket. She was walking with me too. You didn't stop her.
Yes.
Pulls her back, my wife, who was not my wife at the time, for that to punch this person in the face. Not really. I don't believe in domestic violence. But the point being that she brought her back to the cop to let them both get a ticket for jaywalking. My wife paid the ticket on time, in full.
Uh-huh.
We went to take a trip, found out her license was suspended. Do you know why her license was suspended, Zach?
I do not.
Because the police officer had written the wrong amount on the ticket, and so she didn't pay the full penalty, even though it was the policeman's error. That happened. For real, I was there for every step except for them actually getting the jaywalking ticket. I came in after that part. But I was there at the courthouse when she went in, and they said, sorry, yeah, that was a clerical error, but that still falls on you. It cost her a freaking extra fine for letting her license get suspended for not paying a jaywalking ticket that she never should have had in the first place. So my point is, how the hell did Houston Texans get money back from the government for admitting that they made a mistake? Because my wife got 2 giant middle fingers and had to pay extra money just to get her license reinstated.
Well, I'm just saying, if you sue or you actually fight back in court, you can do things.
All right, well,
so
it was like
if you ever get a red light
10
ticket,
years
though,
ago, so probably too late, but go ahead.
Yeah, a little bit too late. If you ever get a red light ticket, though, always fight it. Like, always. Because in the majority of the time, basically what you're going to get to the point is that it was not a ticket issued by a cop, and it was actually just issued by this private company, and that's not really legal. At least in a lot of states. So you can almost always...
Wait. This is an Instagram post right here, because those have to be a minute or less. So you're saying that the majority of the time, you don't have to put a fake statistic on it, that if you fight a red light camera, you are not fighting whether or not a police department gave you a ticket. You're fighting a third party, which is generally illegal.
Well, so yes, to give you that ticket. Cannot be given a ticket. At least in, like, for example, Florida, for example, you have to be able to, bring up your accuser. So whoever your accuser is. Well, it's not a police officer. So it's not really legal. That's why in a lot of states you see all of these things being fought and thrown out as illegal, is because of the fact that it's not a police officer giving you the ticket. It's a private company. But yeah, no. Wow. Like, for example, they had 9,407 tickets that they had to refund for $700,000. Like $700,000 of just money that the city was getting because they made illegal. They basically BS made their lives far more dangerous for no reason.
Wow.
And this has happened in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's happened in Springfield, Missouri. It's happened in Lubbock, Texas. It's happened in Nashville, Tennessee. It's happened in Union City, California. It's happened in Tampa, Florida. It's happened in so many different places, and it's being fought. And they are taking your red lights. They're shortening your yellow lights and causing problems. Red light cameras cause more accidents. There is no reason a red light camera should exist.
Wow. You know what? And can I give you one other thing? Is like, think about that. Think about the extra tickets, the extra accidents they're causing.
I did think about it.
Yeah, you did. You researched it too. Thanks for that. There is no... I'm trying to think. Deciding factor doesn't quite hit what I'm trying to say, but I want to come up with something that I think will bring the point home. There's no determination of who is going to be affected by that. So it doesn't matter if you're poor, if you're rich, if you're wealthy, if you're struggling. Like, red lights are gonna screw you. Now the area might matter. That's a whole. Let's not get there unless you have some real solid based research. But my point
there's something really, really
that
interesting
could screw
there.
over anybody. But okay, maybe you have something. Go ahead, please.
No. So what you talked about right there is that if you're poor or you're rich, it's the same fine, right? So you get screwed over
that's
equally.
a different topic. I think I know where you're going. Go ahead.
Right. And in some countries, your tickets are actually based on your income. So if you're poor, they don't charge you the full amount. They charge you this minimal amount but it still hurts you because it affects your budget. If you make $200,000 or $1 million a year, your tickets massively increase to be the same percentage of your income. And so for example, if you're making enough money, you might not care about running this red light camera because you make enough that, who cares about a $200 fine? That is just pocket change.
Yeah.
I make that in an hour.
You know what? I'm going to give you I'm going to give you a real world example that makes me sound like a dick. And that will be a nice way to kind of, unless you have other topics,
I've got nothing else.
To kind of wrap up what we're doing here. But I often think to myself, when someone does something in a parking lot or in traffic, just really screwed up. We all know what we're talking about. You try to get over, they're way behind. They gun their, the gas pedal so they can shoot off in front of you and keep you from getting over when you're trying to get over and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
And I think to myself, man, especially in slower traffic situations where someone's just a douchebag, I think, if I knew that I wouldn't care about repairing my car or paying the fine, I would cause the accident here just to screw this guy for being such a douchebag.
To be fair, the problem is it's 90% of the time, that's going to be a BMW driver, and that guy makes more money than you.
But my point is this, exactly. If our fines were proportional to our value, our assets, our income, whatever would make the most sense, then I wouldn't think that way. Because if I had $1 million, but I knew it was going to cost me $250,000 to get into an accident because this dude's being a douchebag, but I'd still pay the fine because of whatever the law is in Florida, then I would still think, no, it's not worth $250,000 to F up this guy's bumper fender, even though he's a dick.
Yes.
So,
okay.
So my point is that makes sense.
I'm going to leave you on one other final note for red light cameras.
Please.
Or just this is just traffic lights.
Genuinely, I know a lot about red light cameras. I don't think I've ever gotten a fine from one, thank Jesus, but knock on wood. But I have always been curious because I've never been willing to do the time to actually research how they work and what they mean.
So, okay, so this is nothing to do with the red light cameras. It has to do with the traffic lights themselves. So,
okay.
It's just a fun random fact. So one of the issues, so remember how we were talking about LEDs on street lights and how LEDs are good.
Oh, right. So that would be in factual relativity or in
I don't
one of those
which
episodes.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. You know what? Subscribe to Alcoholically Correct and you can watch them all and you can find out with us which one it was. Go ahead.
But so the fun fact here is that so when they first switched to LEDs are more efficient. LEDs do not generate the heat that an incandescent bulb does. So up north, when they switched to LEDs, when it would snow, the snow would fill up in the lights because you know how they have the covers, and the LEDs couldn't melt it. So what they've had to do up north is they actually had to start adding heaters to increase the heat that the LEDs were producing to melt the snow.
because it would cover the actual light.
Right, so the snow would drift in because of wind and stuff, and it would fill up the light. And when you had incandescent bulbs, they were really hot, and inefficient, and they would melt the snow. They had to switch. They had to add heaters to the LED bulbs or LED setups because they were so efficient that there was not enough heat to melt the snow. I just figured that was a fun fact to end it on.
I think so. Should we cheers on that? Finish up? Oh, okay, wait. Let me lead everyone where they need to be. First of all, we've been all over the map in this episode. Please get involved in the comments. Let us know where you think we were full of crap. Let us know wherever you think we're wrong. And we'll come right back at you, I promise, from Alcoholically Correct. If it gets too controversial, we'll tell you whether or not it's Zach or JB responding. But also, follow us at Alcoholically Correct at Instagram, Alcohol's Correct on Twitter, or if you just want to kind of streamline finding all of our information, including the podcast, which comes out first every Tuesday, just go to www.alcoholicallycorrect.com. So, anything else, Zach, before we cheers to that?
No, I got nothing else planned because pandemic.
There we go. Salute. We'll see you next week.
Cheers.
Cheers.